What if I told you that some of the best-looking muscle cars of the 70s didn't wear a Chevy bow tie or a blue Ford Oval? Hidden behind AMC's modest reputation were street beasts so gorgeous they made Camaros and Mustangs look like yesterday's news. These were the rebels, bold hoods, outrageous stripes, wild colors that dared to stand out at every stoplight. Buckle up. We're about to uncover 8 stunning AMC muscle machines from the disco decade that looked so good you'd swear Detroit was jealous. AMC, American Motors Corporation, was the underdog in the muscle car wars, often overshadowed by the Detroit Big Three, GM, Ford, and Mopar. While those giants fought over horsepower bragging rights and big sales numbers, AMC quietly unleashed some of the coolest, quirkiest, and most rebellious muscle cars of the era. These machines weren't cheap knockoffs. They were bold statements of attitude, built with real V8 muscle and eye-popping styling that stood out on any street. The nimble AMX proved a small car could punch above its weight, while the rebel machine showed up loud and proud in red, white, and blue, daring anyone to underestimate it. With smaller budgets but big dreams, AMC gave everyday drivers a shot at stoplight glory and a chance to stand apart from the crowd. So which of these scrappy legends hit the hardest? Let's fire them up and find out. Top 1 1970 AMC AMX 390, Big Bad Orange. When you think of 1970s muscle, everyone drools over Chevelles or Mustangs. But the car that really made jaws drop was the 1970 AMX 309 Big Bad Orange. This beast wasn't just a pretty face. It was AMC's loud, rebellious punch at the Big Three. A short wheelbase street brawler painted so bright it practically glowed, screaming, "Look at me!" even before the V8 roared to life. Back then, the AMX was America's only true two-seater muscle car besides the Corvette, and it never tried to be subtle. That factory Big Bad Orange was one of 3 outrageous colors AMC offered to stand out in a sea of red and black Chevelle. The AMX's fastback silhouette, bulging fenders, Go-Pock stripes, Ram Air hood scoop, and Magnum 500 wheels gave it instant presence. Pop the door and you'd find high-back buckets, bright trim, and a no-nonsense cockpit. Pop the door and you'd find high-back buckets, bright trim, and a no-nonsense cockpit with a full sweep of rally gauges, engine turn dash, and wood-rimmed wheel. Under the hood sat the real magic. A 390 cubic inch V8 pushing 325 horsepower, and a stump pulling 425 pound-feet of torque. Backed by a close ratio 4-speed and a twin-grip rear axle, this pint-sized rocket could leap from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, and run the quarter-mile in the low 14s if you had the guts to bury your foot. Only about 2,200 AMXs were sprayed in big bad colors, and many of those got repainted in boring shades once the Fed faded, making survivors incredibly scarce today. While Chevy and Ford buyers mocked AMC's wild paint jobs, these big bad AMXs earned cult status on the street and the strip. Many were lost to wrecks or cheap resprays, their wild orange coats buried under decades of primer and neglect. Who knew they'd be 6-figure legends one day? Today, if you find a documented Big Bad Orange AMX 390 with original stripes and drivetrain, you've struck AMC gold. Restored examples fetch top dollar because they're the ultimate symbol that the underdog could build a muscle car just as quick and twice as flashy as the big boys. But if you think an orange AMX was wild, wait till you meet the next rebel that turned the drag strip into a red, white, and blue battlefield, and proved AMC wasn't done embarrassing the giants yet. Top 2 1970 AMC Rebel Machine, red, white, and blue. If the AMX was AMC's street brawler, the Rebel Machine was its street mobile-bound punk rocker. A factory-built underdog that stormed the drag strips in a paint job loud enough to wake the neighbors. No one expected AMC to drop a car this brash in 1970, but when they did, the Rebel Machine didn't just show up, it showed off. Just look at it. Bold red, white, and blue stripes screamed patriotism and rebellion in equal measure. The massive Ram Air hood scoop, unique machine badging, and Magnum 500 wheels left no doubt this wasn't your dad's Rambler. Inside, the Rebel Machine kept things simple but tough. Heavy-duty front buckets, a beefy Hurst shifter poking through the console, and a big Suntac mounted front and center to remind you this car meant business. Under that scoop lived AMC's biggest hammer, a 390 cubic inch V8 with forged internals, high compression heads, and a 690 cc carb, factory underrated at 340 horsepower. but closer to 360 in real life. It could rocket from 0 to 60 in the low 6s and cover the quarter mile in the high 13x, enough to hang with GTOs and Chevelles that cost hundreds more. Only about 2,326 Rebel machines were built, and most came painted in the iconic stars and striped livery, making them rolling billboards for AMC's come-out swinging attitude. The machine wasn't just a street menace, it was an embarrassment for the Big Three. Guys who bought them could drive straight to the Strip on Friday night and dust local SS 396s before cruising home with a grin. But their loud look made them easy targets for police and insurance companies. Many machines were de-stripped or repainted to keep the heat off, hiding in plain sight for decades. Surviving, numbers-matching Rebel machines with factory paint are now some of AMC's hottest auction stars, regularly crossing six figures as collectors realized how wild these cars really were. Think the Rebel machine was the loudest thing AMC ever built? Not so fast. Wait until you meet the sleek Joplin AMX that borrowed Trans Am DNA and showed Chevy's Z/28 what real attitude looked like. Top 3 to 1971 AMC Javelin AMX. When you think of pony cars that rattled the Camaro and Mustang crowd, the 1971 AMC Joplin AMX is the dark horse nobody saw coming. But once it arrived, it turned Trans Am racing into a war zone. AMC's big gamble was simple: blend show car curves with championship pedigree. The redesigned 71 Javelin looked mean from every angle. Flared fenders, a pointed sharp nose, cowl hood bulge, and a fastback roofline that made its profile as slick as anything Detroit built. Step inside, and you'd find a driver-focused cockpit with high-backed bucket seats, a machine-turned dash insert, full gauges, and a sporty three-spoke wheel. Under that hood, the heart of AMC's Rebel soul, a 401 cubic inch V8, the biggest they offered at the time, pushing out 330 underrated horses and 430 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, just over 6 seconds if you could get traction through those good years. About 2,054 AMX versions of the 71 Javelin were produced, each sporting unique trim, bold stripes, and heavy-duty suspension tuned by none other than Mark Donahue's Trans Am Championship crew. These weren't grocery getters, they were street-legal war machines. What really makes the 71 Javelin AMX legendary is how it borrowed directly from the track. The car was essentially AMC's rolling trophy case, capitalizing on its back-to-back SCCA Trans Am titles. While Ford and Chevy were pulling back from racing, AMC doubled down, giving the Javelin flared fenders and spoilers inspired by the race cars. Today, true Javelin AMXs are cult classics, especially the high-compression 411S with original stripes and factory documentation. Restored examples have gone from dirt cheap to auction stunners, proving this forgotten pony could swing with the big boys, and look better doing it. But if you think the Javelin AMX was AMC's last nod to Trans Am swagger, just wait till you see the A-Dealer special that turned a family fastback into a tribute to the brand's greatest racing moment. Top 4. 1972 AMC Javelin S-Testu Trans Am Edition. When the Trans Am wars cooled down, AMC didn't just walk away. They doubled down with a tribute car that most Camaro and Mustang fans didn't even know existed. The 1972 AMC Javelin STWA Trans Am Edition was the last gasp of trackbred style in a world drifting towards smog reg insurance killjoy. At first glance, the 72 SST looked like your average family fastback, but swing by the right dealer, especially in the Midwest, and you might have found a hidden gem. A Trans Am edition that borrowed all the championship swagger from AMC's SCCA dominant. The package was pure racing nostalgia: red, white, and blue stripe kit, bold fender flares, front and rear spoilers, and a blacked-out grille that made it look mean even at idle. Inside, the SST stayed true to its upscale name: high-backed buckets, optional rally pack gauges, wood grain trim, and a beefy three-spoke wheel. Under the hood, the magic was all about the options. Many of these dealer specials came with a stout 360 cubic inch V8, making 285 horsepower, still solid for a 1972 pony. Pair that with a 4-speed manual and limited slipped rear, and you had a car that could still hustle 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, with around 2,500 built, only a fraction wearing the full Trans Am tribute stripe. But here's the kicker: AMC's Trans Am package was never factory official. It was a dealer-level creation, making documentation spotty and survivors even rarer. Some came with extra spoilers or dealer-tuned carb upgrades, but few buyers knew what they were getting. or kept the unique trim intact once the stripe faded. Today, real 72 SST Trans Am editions are backyard legends, with purists hunting for factory invoices and paint code clues. Well-preserved examples with stripes and spoilers command respect at shows, standing as rolling billboards for AMC's Underdog racing heritage. But if you think a flashy tribute car was wild, the next AMC muscle was a wolf in sheep's clothing. A plain Hornet coupe packing a 360 V8 that embarrassed bigger Chevys without breaking a sweat. Meet the 1971 Hornet, S/300, Top 5, 1971 AMC Hornet SC/360. And people talk 70s muscle, the Hornet is usually the last thing on the list. A sensible compact that carried groceries, not trophies. But in 1971, AMC pulled a wild card. This Cellways/360. This forgotten pocket rocket looked better than any Nova or Maverick Ford could throw at it, and it proved that AMC could still build a budget muscle car that embarrassed the big boys. The Hornet SC/360 was AMC's answer to the muscle insurance crisis. They took the cheap, lightweight Hornet two-door coupe and stuffed it with their 360 cubic inch V8, officially good for 245 horsepower in 2-bar barrel form, or a lively 285 horsepower with the optional 4-bar barrel and free-flow dual exhaust. On the outside, it screamed sleeper muscle. You got a functional hood scoop with Bolt 360 callouts, bright red-white Bew side stripes, Magnum fiber wheels, and racy SC/360 badging that told Nova's SS drivers to think twice. AMC built it simple. No vinyl roofs, no luxury frills, just muscle and attitude. Inside, the Hornet stayed bare bones but sporty. High-back bucket seat, a floor shift 3-speed or optional 4-speed, and a sun tack if you ticked the right box. 0 to 60? About 6.5 seconds if you could hook up thanks to the Hornet's light curb weight. The quarter mile fell in the high 14s fast enough to make more expensive Chevelles and Mustangs sweat. But here's the catch. Only about 784 were ever built in 1971. Insurance hypes and the looming gas crunch killed it before AMC could make the SC/360 a proper rival to Chevy's hot compact. Most buyers daily drove these cars into the ground or ripped out the 360 for bigger builds. Many ended up as bracket racers or forgotten rust buckets behind barns, their stripes long faded. Today, an original SC/360, especially a 4-barrel 4-speed version, is an ultra-rare survivor that commands serious respect at any muscle car meet. It's a compact with big block heart and underdog swagger. But if you think the Hornet SC/360 was AMC's last compact surprise, just wait until you see what they did with the Matador next, a concept that redefined big body style in the weirdest way. Top 6 1971 AMC Matador machine concept. If you thought AMC only played it safe with compacts and funky javelins, think again. The 1971 Matador machine concept was the big body brawler that AMC teased as a secret weapon to take on GM expected forward luxury muscle. And then, just like that, it vanished. Back in the early 70s, AMC wanted to give its Matador line some street cred. Enter the Machine Treatment, a name that screamed power thanks to the Rebel Machine's short but thunderous reign. The plan? Build a Matador with Rebel Machine attitude. Big stripes, a hood scoop, chrome-tipped dual exhaust, and fat wheels to make this mid-size cruiser look menacing. Under the hood, they planned to drop in AMC's stout 401 cubic inch V8, good for around 330 horsepower, putting it right in the fight with 442 SGTOs and Torino Cobra jets. With a 4-barrel carb, beefed-up suspension, and 4-speed manual, the Matador machine concept could run the quarter in the low 14x. Not bad for a car that looked more like a family sedan than a drag strip menace. Sadly, only a few prototypes were built, rumored to be less than 5, and most were test mules for styling cues and drivetrain tweaks. What killed the Matador machine? Insurance, gas prices, and AMC's penny-pinching brass, who didn't think buyers wanted a big, brash, luxury muscle Matador. The prototypes disappeared. Some were crushed, some reworked as standard Matadors. Their bold striping and scooped hoods faded into urban legend. Today, seeing a real Matador machine concept is next to impossible. Only old press photos and insider tales prove they ever existed. For AMC fans, it's a ghost proof that AMC had the guts to swing for the fences, even if they never stepped up to the plate. But if you think a ghost Matador is wild, wait until you see how AMC got weird in '74. when they gave the Matador Coupe a space-age makeover that looked better than anything GM or Ford dared to try. Top 7 1974 AMC Matador X Coupe. By the time the oil crisis hit in the mid-70s, most American muscle was dead or dying. But AMC Quickery Underdog of Detroit threw one last curveball. The Matador X Coupe. It's a two-door oddity that looked like a spaceship from the side and a NASCAR contender from the front. It's one of those AMC oddballs that looked so good, it made Camaros and Torinos of the era look like old men in polyester suits. The Matador X Coupe arrived in 1974 as the sporty spin-off of AMC's big Matador lineup. It wore a dramatic fastback roofline that swept down into a chunky rear end, pure 70s excess. The nose was long and pointed, with deep-set quad headlights, a blackout grille, and subtle chrome bumpers that made the whole car look more European GT than Detroit boat. Under the hood, buyers could tick boxes that made this more than just show. The base 304 V8 made around 150 horsepower, but the real magic was the optional 360 or 401 cubic inch V8, topping out at about 255 horsepower for the 401. Paired with a 3-speed auto or 4-speed manual, the 401 cars could hustle to 60 in the mid-7-second range. Not bad for a big coupe weighing nearly 4,000 pounds. Inside, the X got sporty high-back buckets, color-keyed door panels, a console mount shifter, and the signature AMC machine-turn dash trim. Just enough flash to remind you this wasn't your uncle's sedan. AMC built about 10,000 Matador X coupes in '74, but only a fraction had the 401 V8. AMC even ran the Matador X in NASCAR. Roger Penske's team turned these big fastbacks into track weapons that won races against the best from Ford and Chevy. But street buyers never caught on. Most X coupes got daily driven, used up, and tossed. Today, finding a genuine 401 X coupe with the original paint, stripes, and buckets is like unearthing a forgotten NASCAR relic for the street. But AMC wasn't done taking risks. Next, they gave the Hornet a makeover that turned a humble hatchback into a surprise AMX nobody expected. Top 8. 1977 AMC AMX Hornet Hatchback. By 1977, the golden age of muscle cars was long gone. Big blocks were extinct, insurance companies were the real horsepower killers, and every showroom was pushing economy. But AMC wasn't quite ready to give up on fun. Enter the Hornet AMX Hatchback, a final gasp of 70s rebellion that looked wilder than any Pinto, Maverick, or Nova ever could. The Hornet itself had been AMC's compact car since 1970, but the AMX badge had been dormant since the Javelin AMX boat out in '74. To revive the name, AMC took the humble Hornet hatchback and gave it attitude. A bold egg crate grille, flared wheel arches, color-keyed bumpers, and racy stripes running nose to tail. Some even wore T-top roof panels, a wild option for the time. Inside, the AMX got high-back buckets, machine-turned dash inserts, a sporty steering wheel, and bright interior color combos. Nothing fancy, but it looked ready for Saturday night street fights. Under the hood, buyers got the 258 straight 6 as standard, but the real prize was ticking the 304 cubic inch V8 option. About 120 net horsepower, modest by old muscle standards, but plenty to move the lightweight Hornet hatch. 0 to 60 was doable in just under 9 seconds, and the car's compact size made it feel quicker than it was. Production numbers for the AMX Hornet stayed low. Just over 5,000 units were built for 1977. While Detroit's other compacts faded into blandness, the AMX Hornet's outrageous stripes and hatchback versatility made it an instant cult classic with young buyers and street racers alike. And today, its rarity means it's worth saving. While its Ford and Chevy rivals are mostly forgotten, the AMX stands out for its weirdness alone. Most Hornet AMXs got thrashed and junked when the ADS hit. A handful survived with their factory-striped, slot mags and T-tops intact, unicorns of the downsized muscle era. So next time someone says the 70s were boring, show them an AMC AMX Hornet hatch and smile, because sometimes the weirdest rebels leave the longest tire marks. And that wraps up another wild ride through the legends that turned rust and chrome into pure gold on 4 wheels. These classic beasts weren't just cars. They were rolling statements of freedom, rebellion, and pure American horsepower. Now here's the real question. Which one would you park front and center in your dream garage? Drop your pick in the comments below, and don't hold back on the stories either. We love hearing about the time your uncle had one, your neighbor raced one, Or you dreamed of tearing up Main Street behind the wheel? If you enjoyed this nostalgic trip down memory lane, be sure to smash that like button, share it with your fellow gearheads, and hit subscribe so you never miss the next hidden gem that deserves its moment in the spotlight. Thanks for hanging out with Top 5 Classic Car. Every old school legend still has a story worth telling, and every ride takes you back to a time when muscle ruled the streets.